Werbenik as tense as he is. Oh, good luck, mate.
Oh, wonderful. That is really, truly wonderful.
15 reds, 15 blacks and all the colours. A maximum. Snooker's own nirvana. There's always something very special about a 147.
18,000 quid. And good luck, Claire.
Up until the start of this tournament, there had been 48 maximums in professional competition, 27 in ranking tournaments, 24 of which had been televised.
It's been said that a 147 only wins you one frame, but as well as the glory, there can be quite a lot of cash involved too. For his 5-minute 20-second maximum against Mick Price at the Crucible in 1997, Ronnie O'Sullivan earned $165,000. That works out to around £515 per second. How much did you get for your maximum in 1982, Stu?
I got a larder.
Why can't they see the things that I can see? The things that I feel, I feel, I feel. And it's such a shame, so many faces in such a hurry, yet they're going nowhere. But I believe one day that everything will change.
Well, Ronnie may dominate the speed lists, but recently John Higgins has been hogging the 147 headlines. The Scot has hit the last 3 maximums achieved in tournament play and became the only man to knock in 2 in consecutive matches. His 147 in the LG Cup final here last year, followed by 1 in the opening round of the next tournament, the 2003 British Open.
And earlier this week, yet another followed in his first round match against Ricky Walden. John, of course, went on to lose that match 5 frames to 3, but we reckon his maximum in the 3rd frame was textbook break building of the highest quality, so it's worth another detailed look. Hit that VT, Steve.
OK, well, the first thing to notice after a number of safety shots is that the balls are all spread out at the top of the table, and John Higgins had Ricky Walden in some trouble here. He'd already had 1 try at the escape. He was trying not only to hit the red, but leave it safe, and in doing so, misjudged that escape and left John Higgins ball in hand. Those balls are lovely and spread out, aren't they?
It tends to be the way these days on these cloths, Steve. I mean, Willie Thorne mentioned it on commentary many times, with them being a finer cloth and the balls being more reactive. After a safety bout, they do tend to open up a lot more than they used to. Ironically, if we look back at the start of Thorburn's historic break, the balls were nicely spread, a bit like John's position here. But compare this, for example, to the position of the Reds at the start of Ronnie's 5-minute 20-second 147. A lot of work needed to develop these balls. And likewise at the start of John's 147 in the final here last year. Anyway, John's looking at this shot with the ball spread everywhere, and he's thinking if he can play a nice long drag shot and avoid the red nearest to the one he's going to play, he should be on the black, and they're going to be spread lovely.
Playing with lots of backspin, and the backspin somewhere down the line stops spinning backwards and just slows the cue ball down, and that's why it's got a drag effect, and that way you're able to hit the cue ball harder, but actually by the time the cue balls hit the red, it's travelling quite slowly. He must have been very pleased with that first shot. 2-0 down in this match he was, but John Higgins' trademark smooth cueing straight into his style. This is a situation in practice you probably wouldn't have spread the balls out so violently, but you certainly would have experienced this situation many times in practice sessions.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and couldn't be any better. Very easy just to get going in this break. Just a little series of soft stuns.
The biggest problem sometimes with the break with the balls like this is that the table becomes quite crowded, and even though you would imagine the shots are easy, it's very easy to get yourself covered up betwixt and between positions, trying to sort of play for the area where you get the choices of most reds. But there were some important balls to clear from the piles of other balls, and of course this red on the top cushion here, John,
24.
until he clears that from the equation, he can only play stuns up the table.
I think he's looking at the maximum already.
Well, it's difficult to say, isn't it? 2-0 down, got to get himself into the game. Obviously, the other guys come out firing on all cylinders, but with the balls in this situation, you'd have to think he was considering the 147. And the fact is, he's made 4 before this, so all of a sudden, it was business as usual.
All the time when he's playing off the black spot, he's trying to leave himself high on the reds, isn't he? So he's making sure the cue ball is going back towards the black all the time.
I thought this was quite a clever shot. The red by the pink is not necessarily free, and in playing this little cannon here, he's just pushed that red away from the pink a bit, just in case he has to pot the pink. But of course, at any time in these games, you know, you never know when you're going to get a good or bad contact. And on this shot,
41.
it wasn't obvious that he got a kick, but he actually asked for the ball to be cleaned. Of course, John, every time you hit a ball, you put chalk on the ball. A little bit of chalk sticks to the cue ball. But if the balls are rolling around the table quite a lot, then perhaps that chalk falls off. But when you're playing around the black spot area, where the cue ball isn't really travelling much distance, there is the opportunity for a lot more chalk to be sticking to the ball.
And that could be right, and of course it always seems to come on those little shots where you're just dropping them in. You know, obviously John's had that cue ball clean there because he thought that was the case, and they are sometimes dangerous little shots. You could be in the middle of a break and you think to yourself, this is just the type that might get one, so you have both balls clean.
And of course the reason why it is important to avoid a kick is not only sometimes can you miss the pot, but sometimes the position of the white ball is completely destroyed with the grit from the chalk interacting between the two balls.
And you can see it's like a mini explosion as the ball just jumps up in the air, and you know, all the momentum's gone out the cue ball.
So high on the black for a change, and a chance to clear this red away from behind the black spot.